I've gone on about medical care and animals, and I love all that. But the other thing really dear to my heart is infrastructure. I'm talking lead pipes, I'm talking electrical, I'm talking roads, trains, planes, automobiles. But to start, my baby, clean water. Live in Missouri. Never even occurred to me that there would be such a thing as lead pipes. I came from Washington. I had no idea that was even a thing. But Washington State is much, much younger than Missouri is. And other parts of the country too, or even older. The East Coast is older. So lead pipes are a thing. And I want to thank Aaron Brockovich. That movie and The Real Person are real inspiration to knowing how important clean water is, and the fight that she put up at her own personal expense is worth it for everyone else. Sucked for her, but she did the right thing. And I think about her every time I think about a pipe or water or anything. We have some serious issues in Missouri with lead pipes, but not only that, we have Coldwater Creek. I encourage you guys to look this up because that's its own thing. But this is where they make the weapons that we use to bomb countries. This is where it happens. And guess what? They test them out here too. And things leak and into water. Then all of a sudden a bunch of cancer shows up in certain areas. I feel like the federal government is responsible for that, and that they should be sued. A class action isn't enough. People have died because of this. Anyway, that's my take. But infrastructure, so clean water, it's an absolute must. You need that clean water to have clean food and all that stuff. We flipped a house actually, and we were in a depressed area, and I found out there were lead pipes, and I just broke down crying. It's, oh my God. It's like, I'm trying to sell this house to a family, and I'm giving them lead pipes? All you think about is lead paint. That's all I ever thought about was lead paint. So we got a filtration system, a whole entire house, lead certified. Make sure if you do something like this, lead certified, they have them at Home Depot for like $100. Oh, I shouldn't say Home Depot. I got it from Home Depot years ago, before all this administration came into. You can't shop at a Walmart or Home Depot. You have to look at everything before you even go to the store, and the only thing you can really count on, and I hope it stays at least one that I can count on, is Costco. Costco's doing great. But in my administration, I don't want people to have to boycott businesses because of how people feel politically. That does not help our economy. And I understand that it needs to happen right now. I'm all for that, but not on my time, when this is not something that we're going to be doing. I'll tell you one thing I would do. One thing I would ask the Americans to boycott is all the countries or the places, whoever has child labor violations, who have children working child labor, I would absolutely not let products, if I have any say in it, not let those products be sold in the United States, so that you could go to the store and not have to think. You could say, oh, this product, we've got cruelty-free everything. I want to know, does this product, is it child labor? Go into a store, I don't have to think about it. It would be illegal to sell things that were made at the cost of other people. So blood diamonds, I wouldn't want that in the country. We can grow them ourselves. There's no need for people to be killed. Absolutely no way. Clean up your shit and whatever. Infrastructure. Potholes everywhere. And it happens every year because we get snowstorms and we get chains, and we get trucks that are too heavy for whatever. And we're using the wrong kind of material. I don't think asphalt is a great material for streets, and I don't know anything better, but I do know that we need to do something different. In the meantime, let's fill those potholes, have safe streets to drive in. Lines should be shown. Not every line that's drawn on the freeway or streets are reflective. It's another thing I didn't know. It's very hard to drive at night when you can't see. You have to have proper lighting to see what you're doing, to be safe. So streets would be safer. Anything that was electric, like an electric car or whatever, I would insist that those cars have recyclable battery. I don't want something that's good for the environment to turn into something that is worse than if you drove a gasoline car. And the cars right now are not great. The electric cars have so many problems. And while they're a great idea, they are not perfect. I find gas cars to be more reliable, and I shouldn't say that out loud, but they are, at least in my experience, and it hasn't been a good one. Planes, ton of pollution. We would do so much better if we could find some sort of alternative with planes. And of course, by now I'm an animal lover, so I would absolutely like to see more planes where you can take your animals with you. And you don't have to leave them with a stranger or whatever. But that's just, I don't think I could change that, but I would love to see it. Oh, trains. Another thing I didn't know, covering your load is not necessary, at least not in Missouri. When you're going through Missouri with a bunch of coal, you don't have to cover that up. That's nasty. It's just gross and nasty, and you're asking for it. You are asking for that thing to get tipped over, and it's happened. That train goes right through the town my mom grew up in, and I'm going to be super mad if something happens to that town, and I'm sure everybody feels that way about the place they live in. They don't want whatever. Infrastructure during emergencies, weather, hurricanes, tornadoes, everything. Things get built back as soon as they go down. I am so upset about North City in St. Louis not being taken care of properly. And I know there's other places. Oh, it's a black neighborhood. That's why it's disinvested. There's corruption and prejudice and all that BS. And unfortunately, it takes someone who's white to speak up for them, because otherwise the powers that be aren't going to listen. The men had to stand up to fight for women's votes. Eventually, the ones that were the oppressors had to be convinced to not oppress. I don't know if that sounds terrible or not, but the point is, I want everyone. There's a guy who's living out in his freaking tent outside of his house. Right this very second. Yesterday, the day before, 4 inches of snow. It's awful. And we can't get anyone to fix it. It's a joke. Josh Hawley acted like he cared when the tornado first happened. What was that, March? I think that was in March. We're in freaking December. It's over 6 months later. 9 months. It's terrible. Anyway, so planes, trains, automobiles, clean water. The other thing they don't do is the last place that always gets turned on for the electrical when it goes out is the depressed areas. And that's not fair either. They have nothing. Bury them frickin' lines. Do what you have to. If you don't want to go out, if you're scared to go out to a scary neighborhood, bury those lines so you don't have to. So you don't have to go out to that scary neighborhood every year, because we have tornadoes, we have windstorms, we have all that fun stuff. If you don't want to go out somewhere all the time, bury those lines. And I know it's not easy in Missouri. We have a lot of hard clay and rock and stuff like that. But you need to do something different. And Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Think independently.